Astronomy is about observing the stars and the universe on the largest scale. And when we think about life, we only know one example here on planet Earth. But we now know that there are other planets like our own planet Earth in the galaxy around many stars, probably about 1 billion stars and billion such planets. So what astronomers can do, they can study those newly discovered exoplanets and discover signs of life on them, providing that life is widespread in the galaxy. When we observe the light from distant stars and the planets that orbit them with our biggest telescopes, we actually see what we call the spectrum, the distribution of different forms of light coming from the atmospheres of those planets. And if they are like the Earth, they would exhibit what we call the fingerprints, the molecular signals, which are imprinted in that light. So that is what we are looking for, and then specific molecules which are associated with the existence of a biosphere. What we do with our telescopes, we anticipate where there would be molecular signatures in the spectrum, in the light distribution from those atmospheric light from those exoplanets. One example is oxygen. The abundance of oxygen in some cases indicates biological activity. And we know, for example, that a very strong line that corresponds to oxygen is at particular red wavelength. So we design our spectrograph and telescopes to look at these signatures for distant exoplanets. If we discover it, then maybe that's a sign of life. For the first time in the history of astronomy and human science, we are actually building those new instruments, telescopes and spectrographs, specifically with the intent to discover signs of life away from the solar system. And so hopefully that will bear fruit in the next 10-20 years. We are also working very hard to discover if there is any signs of life in the solar system. And that also may happen in the next 10 to 20 years. So there are exciting times ahead. When we look at the signatures in the atmospheres of distant planets, what astronomers can only do right now with our telescopes, the only life that we can detect are very active microbial biospheres. Microbes and plants perhaps, but mostly microbes. And there are two reasons for that. Even today on the Earth, they're the main emitters of the main gases that we can detect. And for most of the history of life on Earth, for 4 billion years, for most of that history, life on Earth was completely dominated by microbes, not by animals and plants. So this is what we are looking for, because we anticipate this will be the easiest to detect signature. Jena is a small city in the bigger picture of the world, but what I see here is that almost half of the big buildings here are science buildings, and there is a lot of them that are being built, and that to me indicates a lot of momentum, and that means a lot of new discoveries. So I'm very impressed.